Hey everyone, Damien here, Sleepy Reader. I wanted to share my thoughts with you about Minutemen number 2, Batman and Robin number 11, and Batman number 11. These are the 3 comics I bought yesterday and managed to read today. And I wanted to share my thoughts before too much time had passed. Batman was a bit of a disappointment, although it's still really good reading. And and mind-bogglingly good art. Greg Capullo is just so good, and I appreciate him more and more with each issue, and I'll be going back and admiring his art throughout this run. And I pray he stays on Batman. It's just so good. There may be spoilers here. If you haven't read Batman number 10 yet, I'm not going to completely avoid the big revelation that happened there anymore. So if you haven't read Batman number 10 and you like Batman, or you plan to read this run, I would pause the video. Anyhow, this is the finale of the Court of Owls, and you can sort of see the writer, Scott Snyder, working hard to wrap everything up, and to, especially thematically. You can almost see the English major in him thinking of all the themes he's set up in the course of these 11 issues and trying to wrap it all up here. The theme of the unseen part of the city, and whether it's whose city is it Batman's city, or the city of the owls, and what is Batman's relationship to everybody and to the city. So the way Snyder handles it is through tons and tons of dialogue. You can just sort of see the dialogue balloons all over these pages. And I don't think it's almost like he ran out of gas. He had to wrap it all up, and he just did it. And he didn't think about ways that he could dramatize things better. And the whole action sequence is really Batman just getting smashed up by Lincoln Marsh, or is he Thomas Wayne? Lincoln Marsh, who believes he's Thomas Wayne Jr., I guess, Batman's heretofore unknown brother, although probably not really Batman's brother, probably just deluded, but we don't know for sure. So Lincoln Marsh is wearing this owl's outfit, which seems like it's a lot like a Batman outfit. Batman, not Batman. It looks like Batman a bit, but it's like an Iron Man outfit, so he can fly through the air, and he's covered in armor. Batman can't really hurt him. And he just, while he lectures Batman about their relationship and his mirror version of Gotham City, he smashes Batman around. And then, so Batman's not really fighting back, and so I thought that was kind of a weak way to do it, although he's surviving all these incredible things. And I just started to lose, I was pulled out of the story, and it got worse when Batman was thrown into an airplane jet engine, and instead of getting sucked in, he manages to just hang on the lip of the jet engine circle there. And maybe they could have convinced me he could do that, but it really broke my credulity. If he had the right gadgets and gloves, maybe he could do that, but they didn't. He doesn't even look, well, he looks uncomfortable, but he doesn't look like he's about to be sucked into a jet engine. And then he appears to blow Marsh up, but then Marsh reappears later, hardly damaged at all, and Batman easily climbs out of the engine and up onto the wing of the airplane. And then he gets blown off the wing of the airplane and can't hold on to that, and manages to survive a fall from a great height into the city. So you can see how it all works thematically. And throughout this series, Batman's kind of getting beaten up a lot and just surviving. And I guess in part that's a Batman thing, but I wanted to see him fight back more. So I felt like Greg Capullo was carrying the weight of kind of a weaker imagined issue on the part of Snyder by just, making all the art as fantastic as he possibly could, and making these scenes exciting, even though Batman is just being kind of passive. And then even more unbelievably, Batman is in the middle of this explosion, and they're still talking, or Lincoln Marsh is still talking and lecturing him, and Batman and Lincoln Marsh, and particularly Batman, who has no armor on, survives it. The explosion seems to go on, and finally Batman kind of runs away and jumps down an elevator shaft. But there's just an air of a little less effort and a little less thought gone into all of this to make Batman survive it. And then we get, after all that action, we get kind of a coda where Bruce Wayne does a lot of talking to Robin, to Dick Grayson. And again, it helps wrap things up thematically and tells us a lot, but it just doesn't seem like they came up with the greatest way to close all these things up. And you can see Greg Capullo doing just all kinds of interesting things with the art, given that nothing's happening. He's just still, blowing us away with brilliantly laid out and drawn artwork. Great final page showing Bruce Wayne's eyeballs looking at Gotham and seeing the bat signal. So all in all, it was kind of an okay wrap-up to a brilliant series. And as far as I could tell, the extra story at the end, the conclusion of the story of Alfred's father and his involvement with or his interaction with the Court of Owls, didn't tell us much more and kind of fizzled out and turned out to be information that Batman and Alfred would never find out about, that this was a story that is hidden from them forever. So I just felt a minor letdown with everything. I still enjoyed reading the issue, and maybe, once I reread it with lowered expectations, I'll see lots of other good things in it. I had very low expectations for Batman and Robin, not for this issue, but I read the past 5 or 6 issues in the past month, hearing other people talk about how good it was. And I love the artwork in here too. It's not at the level of Capullo, but it's very good Batman artwork. It has a kind of cool little style, does Robin very well. And the Robin, Damian, Batman's son, is done wonderfully. It's weird to even see someone named Damian for me, but anyhow, so this was another enjoyable issue. I felt only the issue where they did the Night of Owls was a little bit less exciting than the other Batman and Robins. And now the current plot thread is that Damian Robin is out to humiliate all the other Robins to prove he's the best Robin. And the characterization is just so spot on. Damian reminds me of snotty rich kids you might have known when you were, a young teenager or something, if any of you ran across snotty rich kids who just believe they're better because of their good fortune. So, of course, Damian is, trained to be a super ninja, so in some ways maybe he really believes he's better, but it's also just this privileged kid kind of thing. It's done very well, and Damian is very dislikable, but in an amusing way. I'd kind of like to see the other Robins kick his butt, but and the other plot with the other villain is, I thought, pretty clever. It could have woven in better with the whole Robin thing, and it might have been a better plot just to focus on Robin trying to kick the asses of the other Robins, or to humiliate them, or kind of do counting crow on them in that Indian way of stealing something that is important from your enemy. But anyway, I enjoyed this issue, and I'm very happy I've hopped on the Batman and Robin train. And which is extra surprising because I've always disliked the idea of Robin, of this kid who works with someone like Batman. But this is just twisted enough to make me buy into it. Although the more I think about it, and when I think about all the other Robins, I get more confused by the continuity. I thought that in here Batman's supposed to have been around for 5 years, or maybe a little longer than that. But if he's had a son who he created while he was still, when he was already Batman with Talia, I was going to take Talia Shire, with Talia al Ghul, then he must have done the nasty deed with Talia al Ghul about 11 years ago. So he's Batman at least 11 years ago. Plus he's had 3 Robins along with Damian. So that implies, you would think he has at least 15 years of history being Batman at this point. Although I generally have the sense that they want us to think Batman's in his late 20s. So it just doesn't all play out right. The more you focus on the idea of if they really wanted to reboot it, Batman should have only had 1 Robin at most. But then they'd have to throw out all those great characters that they've created. So, and then we come to Minutemen. And this was a good issue. I've sort of come to terms with, I'd come to terms with it after rereading the first issue of Minutemen a few times. And I'm just enjoying, I'm loving the Darwin Cook art and the evocation of a past era. He's doing a really good job here. I think it's Darwin Cook at his best, or at least amongst the best I've seen. Right up there with, what was that big series he did about the Justice Society? Now I can't think of it. But right up there with that. I've looked at his work. He was doing some hard-boiled detective things, Stark, I think. I just couldn't get into that artwork. But I love him doing this kind of 1950s, 1940s superhero stuff. Creating the kind of thing that we can only wish old comic books were really like, but a kind of an idealized version of old comics. But dealing, and there's lots of adult material in here from S&M to homosexuality of various sorts. So, and child pornography sort of looming in the background. I didn't really get the last page and what had happened on it. Silk Spectre and Night Owl have found something. I don't even know if, and they found someone who'd hung themselves, but I don't know if it was a superhero or a pornographer or a child. Anyway, other than that, I enjoyed this issue quite a bit. I only glanced at the Crimson Corsair since I'm now decided not to get all of the various Watchmen titles. I won't be able to follow that story, and it looks kind of irritating to me. Anyhow, so I think if you liked the first issue of Minuteman, or if you just generally like Darwin Cook, this is a definite pickup. So because of 4th of July, family stuff on 4th of July, and then one of my best friends coming to visit me for 3 or 4 days, I got way behind on reading from last week. So although I've covered a few comics from this week, I'm also gonna do some more reviews of comics from this week, but also some that I picked up last week and only read recently. I'm enjoying blathering on about comic books, so I'm not going to stop. But don't feel you have to watch all of my reviews. But for those of you who have watched to the end, thank you. I've enjoyed talking to you. Good seeing you, although you're only seeing me. But many of you I will be seeing on the internet or chatting with. So talk to you later. Bye-bye.